Tonight we walk out to Oak Island, the pit that has swallowed fortunes for 230 years. It lies in Mahone Bay, off the southern coast of Nova Scotia, a low green island, barely a mile long, ringed by cold Atlantic water and a scatter of smaller islands. From the shore at dusk, it looks like almost nothing. A few old trees, a field going to seed, a shallow dip in the ground near the eastern end, where the grass has always grown a little differently. You could row past it 100 times and notice only the salt in the wind and the gulls turning overhead. But men have poured their savings into this soil for more than 2 centuries. They have dug and pumped and shored up walls and dug again. And the island has taken very nearly everything they carried out to it. Tonight we don't dig. We just walk out while the last light is still gold on the water. No one alive knows what lies at the bottom of that hollow. Not the treasure hunters who have spent their fortunes here. Not the geologists who have mapped the rock beneath it. Not the crews who have given whole lifetimes to the digging. The evening tide is coming in now, sliding quietly over the mud flats at a place called Smith's Cove, and somewhere beneath the meadow the ground is honeycombed. Old shafts, collapsed tunnels, chambers full of black water. That water fills the diggings faster than any pump has ever emptied them. It is the first thing every newcomer learns. Go deep enough on Oak Island, and the sea comes up to meet you in the dark. What we can actually prove here is small and strange and stubborn. What we cannot prove has cost fortunes, and it has cost lives. 6 of them. Stay a while, and let the island tell only the parts we can stand behind. We will not solve it tonight. We will only walk its edges and listen. Let the world fade in around you. It is late summer, 1795. The island is warm and quiet. The Atlantic breathes against the granite at the shoreline, in and out, in no hurry at all. Gulls settle onto the rocks. The air is thick with spruce sap, with kelp drying in the sun, with a thread of wood smoke carried over from the mainland farms. Oak Island earns its name right here. Great red oaks, tall and old, their leaves just beginning to rust at the edges. Near the eastern end, under one of the largest of them, the ground sinks into a shallow saucer, maybe 4 meters across. And on a heavy branch above that dip hangs something that has no business in a forest. An old ship's tackle block, the kind once used to lower heavy loads, its wood worn smooth, turning slowly on its rope in the breeze. A young man named Daniel McGuinness is the one who finds it. He has come out to the island looking for farmland, and instead he finds that saucer of sunken earth with the pulley block swaying above it. To a boy raised on stories of pirates working these very waters, it can only mean one thing. Something heavy was lowered here once, and something was buried. He rows back with 2 friends, John Smith and Anthony Vaughan. They bring shovels and a lantern, and almost as soon as they begin to dig, the ground rewards them. A couple of feet down, they strike a layer of flat stones, laid carefully by hand, stones that do not belong in this soil. Lower still, the walls of their hole show old pick marks. This is no natural hollow, it is a shaft, dug long before them, then deliberately filled back in. Someone went to enormous trouble to close this place, so they keep digging. At 10 feet down, their shovels stop on oak, a platform of logs laid tight across the whole shaft, their ends set firmly into the hard clay walls. They lever it out and press on. At 20 feet, oak again. At 30 feet, a third platform, as solid as the first. Every layer sealed, spaced, deliberate, the work of many hands and a great deal of patient time. 3 farm boys with hand tools can go no further. The water and the labor defeat them. But the shape of the thing is already clear, and the story is already loose in the taverns of the mainland. Whatever waits at the bottom was buried by people who wanted, above all, for it to stay buried. That single idea is the hook, and it will pull diggers back to this hollow for the next 200 years. So they mark the spot and swear they will come back with more men and stronger gear. It is a promise the island will hear in one form or another for the next 230 years. The years turn, the boys grow into men, and the men bring companies. Investors arrive with ropes and iron pulleys, with horses to work the hoists, with the first pumps. Through the early 1800s, the shaft goes deeper, 40 feet, 60, 90. And the layers keep coming, stranger each time. More oak platforms, bands of charcoal, a seal of ship's putty, and a curious fibrous matting, later identified as coconut fiber, a material that grows nowhere near Nova Scotia, that had to be carried here across a warm ocean. Every find reads like a note left on purpose, a breadcrumb meant to say, "Keep going, you are close." And every find loosens another purse. It is somewhere in these decades that the hollow earns its lasting honest name. Not the treasure pit, the money pit, because money is the one thing it can be relied upon to swallow and never give back. Then, somewhere near 90 feet, the pit springs its trap. The diggers push through one more layer, and cold seawater comes roaring in from below, filling the shaft faster than a line of men with buckets can ever hope to bail. Within a few hours, the tunnel they had fought months for is a black well of salt water, rising and falling with the tide out in the bay. Bail it dry, and it fills again by morning. And here is the detail that has haunted every crew who followed. Some are certain the flooding is no accident at all. They point to Smith's Cove, 500 feet away, where diggers uncovered a beach threaded with stone drains and packed with that same coconut fiber. A giant filter, they argue, feeding the sea into the pit through a hidden tunnel. A trap built to drown anyone who reached too far down. Here, an honest storyteller has to slow the pace, because the geologists who have studied this ground do not all agree. Oak Island sits on limestone and gypsum, soft rock that water dissolves over ages, leaving it riddled with natural caverns and sinkholes. Much of what looks engineered, they argue, could simply be the land being itself. Natural flooding, natural collapse, a hollow that fills because the sea is far closer through the rock than it seems from the meadow. We genuinely do not know which story is the true one. The case for a man-made trap is real, but incomplete. The case for plain geology is strong, but not the final word either. 2 full centuries on, this is still openly, patiently debated. The island keeps its answer to itself and offers the diggers only the water, rising quietly in the dark. Even the coconut fiber, so often held up as proof of human hands, has an ordinary explanation close by. Sailing ships of the age used such fiber as packing and dunnage in their holds, and it could have been dumped or washed ashore here long ago. There is one more piece, and it may be the most tantalizing of all. Somewhere around that 90-foot mark, early diggers reported lifting out a flat stone, carved over with strange angular symbols. The story goes that a scholar later claimed to read it, a message promising that a great treasure lay buried further below. But the stone itself vanished more than a century ago. There is no photograph of it, no reliable drawing, only accounts written down long after anyone had actually seen it. And so it rests exactly on the line the island seems to love, real enough to chase across a lifetime, thin enough to doubt in a single breath. A message no one now can read or even hold in their hands. And still the digging goes on, season after season, generation after generation. Some careful historians doubt the stone ever existed in the form the legends give it, and every attempt to find it again since has come up with nothing but mud. By 1897, the money pit had been worked on and off for a full 100 years. And in all that time, for all the flooding and the collapses and the sheer danger of it, no one had died. That autumn, a crew was drilling and sinking shafts once again. A man named Maynard Kaiser was being hoisted up out of the pit, an ordinary lift, on a stretch of the work everyone considered safe, a climb that had been made 1,000 times without harm. And then the rope slipped from the groove of the pulley wheel. Kaiser fell back down into the dark, and he did not survive. He was the first life the island took, not lost in some reckless plunge into the unknown, lost on the routine part, the familiar climb, the ground that had been checked and checked again, the exact place where everyone had finally stopped being afraid. After Kaiser, the island would take more, always in its own quiet way. Decades later, 4 men died in a single afternoon at the bottom of a shaft, overcome by gas that gathered without warning in the confined dark. 6 lives in all, counted across 2 long centuries of digging, and behind that count sits an island legend older than any crew, that 7 must die before Oak Island gives up whatever it holds. Not one of those 6 was lost in the wild, dangerous plunge you might expect. Each was taken on an ordinary day, on ground that felt, for a moment, entirely safe. It is a pattern quiet enough to miss and steady enough to trust. You can see it laid out across the whole 200 years, if you stand back far enough. Kaiser, on the hoist he had ridden 100 times. The others, at the foot of a shaft they were sure they understood. Never the first cautious step into the dark. Always the 100th easy one, taken without a second thought. The 20th century threw everything it had at the problem. Steam pumps gave way to diesel. Crews sank steel caissons and drilled boreholes by the 100 all across the eastern end. Franklin Roosevelt himself, years before he became president, put money into a syndicate that dug here and followed the news from Oak Island for the rest of his life. Fortunes were spent and fortunes were lost. The original money pit was reopened and redug so many times that its exact position was finally lost, churned into a soft marsh of caved-in shafts and pumped mud, until no one could point to the ground with certainty and say, "Here, this is where it truly began." The island had swallowed even that, even the memory of the hole itself. By the time the modern crews arrived with their heavy machines, the eastern end of the island had been turned over so thoroughly that it looked less like a treasure site than a spent battlefield, cratered, drained, dug and drained again. And here is the strange thing the island keeps teaching. It rarely takes anyone in the moment of greatest danger. It waits for the easy stretch, the familiar climb, the ground checked 100 times, the afternoon the fear finally lifts. Maynard Kaiser did not fall reaching into the unknown. He fell on the safe part. 2 centuries of diggers have learned the same lesson in the same cold water. It doesn't punish the reckless, it waits for the confident. People still come, with sonar and radar and years of their lives, and the hollow lies quiet under the same moon that watched McGuinness first stand over it. You can let your eyes close now. The tide will keep working without us. Maybe there really was a treasure lowered under those oaks by hands we will never name. Or maybe there was only ever the land doing what soft limestone does, and 2 centuries of human hope rushing in to fill the empty space. 6 lives, 230 years, countless fortunes lowered into the dark and never drawn back up. The pit is still out there in Mahone Bay tonight, filling slowly with the sea, keeping whatever it keeps. It has swallowed nearly everything ever carried out to it. Everything so far except the answer. The oaks that gave the island its name are mostly gone. The old legend of the 7th death still drifts across the water. And the hollow waits, the way it has always waited, for the next pair of blistered hands.